Welcome to Lesson 7.11, Fractions in Number Stories. You will need Math Journal page 246, some fraction tools, and maybe even some extra paper. If you also have a ruler available, please get that as well, as you'll need that for the math message. Today's math message asks you to use your ruler and draw a line segment that is 2.5 inches long on your paper. Partition the line segment into half-inch lengths. Remember, a whole counts as a half inch. How many half-inch lengths are there? Pause this video to give yourself time to solve. You should have drawn a 2.5-inch line. Then you should have labeled all of the half inches from 0 halves up to 5 halves. How many half inches are there in all? 5. If you count 0 to the half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put your thumb up if you got 5 half-inch lengths. Nice work. I wrote a number story to go with the math message. It says, Caitlin has 2 beads that are each half-inch long. When she lines up the beads end to end, they are 2.5 inches long altogether. How many tube beads does she have now? Use your number line and try to help or draw a picture to solve the story. Again, each bead is 1/2 inch, just like your number line from the math message was broken into half inches of fractions. The total length of her beads end to end is 2.5 inches long, which is how long the line was that you first drew for your math message. That should mean that she should be able to fit 5 half-inch beads there. Let's test this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right. How many tube beads should she have? 5. Add on to the story. How many more beads does Caitlin need in order to make a bracelet that is 6.5 inches long? So remember, it took her 5 beads to get to 2.5 inches. Now we want to get from 2.5 inches up to 6.5 inches. How many more hops is that on your ruler or your number line? You could also draw a picture if you'd like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She needs 8 more beads. What is the total number of half-inch beads it will take to make a 6.5-inch bracelet? Well, it took her 5 half-inch beads to make 2.5 inches, and it took her 8 half-inch beads to do the rest. So 5 plus 8 is, that's right, it's 13. She needs 13 beads. Can you name an equivalent fraction for 6.5? If you think back to the math message and how I labeled each fraction by halves on my number line, then you can use this information to come up with an equivalent fraction for 6.5. 2.5 is really 5 halves. So again, 2.5 is really 5 halves. So if you keep counting 5 halves, 6 halves, 7 halves, 8 halves, 9 halves, 10 halves, 11 halves, 12 halves, 13 halves. 13 halves is an equivalent fraction for 6.5. Let's try a new problem. 4 friends share 5 granola bars equally. How many granola bars does each friend get? Draw pictures to help you solve. Please pause this video to give yourself time to solve. Here are some sample models of how to share 5 granola bars equally with 4 people. The first one has 5 granola bars, or 5 rectangles, that have each been divided into 4 equal parts. Then you share the pieces. Each person gets 1/4 plus a fourth plus a fourth plus a fourth plus a fourth. All of those fourths added together shows me that each person gets 5/4. The second example shows each granola bar being divided into half. Then each person gets those halves. Then you divide the remaining bar in bars half in half again, making it into fourths. 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/4. Each person gets 2 halves and 1/4. For the third example, each person gets 1 whole granola bar, and then the remaining granola bar is divided into fourths. Each person gets 1 and 1/4 of the granola bar. How do you know each of these fractions shows the same amount? Well, 1 equals 4/4. Each child gets 1 whole bar and 1/4 more. So each gets 1 1/4 or 5/4. 2 halves is equivalent to 1 whole. So I know they're equivalent. Try this problem on your own. TJ walks 3/6 of a mile to get to school. Andrew walks 3/8 of a mile to get to school. Who walks the greater distance? Please use a number line or your number line fraction poster, which looks like this, to help show your work and decide who walks the greater distance to school. Please pause your video now to give yourself time. TJ walks 3/6 of a mile, and Andrew walks 3/8 of a mile. I can see that 3/6 is to the right of 3/8, and that it's a farther distance away from 0. Therefore, TJ walks the greater distance to school because 3/6 is greater than 3/8. Now try some more. Please complete Math Journal page 246 on your own. Then do your exit slip. For extra practice with equivalent fractions, you can play equivalent fractions on ConnectEd. Good luck!